Welcome in everybody, I'm going to be doing a Brutes tutorial today and I'm going to be showing you how to turn these 3D printed parts and these random little bits and bobs medieval knight sprues into a Brute for your Turnip28 games. Starting off with the Kitbash, I'm just going to be picking a couple of different models. I'm going to be making two more squads of Brutes. So I'm going to do one with the two-handed weapon, and then I'm going to be doing a squad of 6 with hand weapon and shield. Let's just start off with the two-handed weapon. Let's go for this happy chappy here. So just clip off all the bits that you want to use. I like to have them all clipped off and ready to go. Next we're going to choose the body. That we're going to go with onion head for this guy, for the frog mouth. And basically we just need to chop off the torso in line and just glue it on top. Simple as that. I'm using a pair of Citadel clippers. I think they're very reliable, very strong. You can tidy up that cut with your knife, so you've got a flat edge to work with for the next section. Any gaps or anything, if you want to be quick, you can fill with green stuff, or you can stick a tuft in it, because remember in Turnip28 we're using lots of tufts to keep with the vibes and the themes of the game. So let's just dry fit this. So we're going to have to cut away some of that belt a little bit, or I could just sit it a little bit higher up, but I want him to be less tall than that, so I'm just going to start cutting away at this belt section here in the front. There's the overhang on the armour. Make that fit a little bit better there. Have a look on the rear. Do a little bit of a cut here on the back section. Pretty much there. Like I say, we could actually just gap fill some of this stuff. That's not a problem. So next is super glue. I'm going to use super glue here because plastic glue is only going to work for the plastic bit and not for the resin. Any resin that you use, you want to use super glue for. Just try and line it up. Simple as that. Hold it until it glues. Next, I've just chosen two arms here from the same sprue, from this like medieval knights set that I've had, and I'm just going to start gluing those. All you have to do is just clean them up, make sure they marry up. If there's a little gap again, we can either add tufts or we can come back with a little bit of green stuff, but it's going to be a simple smooth fit here. I can try and customize it a little bit to look like he's swinging the axe, so I might have it a bit more raised up, like he's just going for a chop. Like I say, just trying to line everything up as best as possible. So just trying to line everything up as best as possible on the arms. the hand fits in nicely next to the hand. Oopsie daisy. Don't worry about it. Like, working with super glue, you're going to get super fingers. It's going to happen. Try and make sure that hand fits a bit better. There we go. So the sleeves are marrying up pretty good. You can disguise this little line here, or just leave it, because it could just be a bit of a sleeve. That's also fine. Nobody's going to be that bothered. But there you go. You've got a bit of a flat-headed frogmouth helm on this guy. a bit squished, but I kind of like that actually. So it's a bit different from some of the other ones. We can call him Flathead. There we go. Next we can do some tufts and some, I think I might add a little bit of green stuff to him as well. Hey guys, next we're going to do some alternate brutes. So we did the two-handed weapon brute earlier. We're going to do a sword and shield, or melee weapon and shield build for these brutes. So again, literally having as many spare parts and bits and bobs as you can is the best way to go forward. What I've got is a mixture of, I think these were from a Bolt Action Warlord Games line. I can't remember which one it was, Feudal Knights or something like that. And then I also have some Fireforge minis, which I use for my Bretonnian army. So I'm literally just reusing what I've got. My faction is the Knights of the Charybdis. For you, you know, you may want to use your Napoleonics or 3D printed bits. So, you know, check out any 3D printing place for loads of different sculpts. You can check out my store if you want. I have some of the Highlands and War sculpts. I also do all the conversion packs. And of course, guys, don't forget, if you would like to get a conversion pack from me, use the code TURNIPTIME, all one word, and that will get you a 10% off discount. So again, just cleaning off this guy, flipping around the feet. Finish it off with the knife. And that's one of the bodies done. So next I've got a selection of the frog mouth. So usually you've got the Turnip28 bodies, the conversion pack, you get 22 different variants of this sort of style with the beaks. But the brutes, I'm doing them in the frog mouth. There are ones that look like more cavalry units. They've got like a cloth bit coming out the back. I'm not using those because I'm going to save those for my heavy cavalry units when I get around to doing them. But for these are the normal brutes with the frog mouth helm. You can tell it's that because of this big neck gorget, very, very small eye slit. And then of course this guy's put an onion on top of his hat because it's Turnip28. I think this is probably my favourite one here, just because of the spikes. Looks really interesting. And then the unit leader is the bull. So I did this in the previous one as well. So I had the little bull's horns, which looks pretty cool, pretty intimidating on the battlefield. So again, literally just going to chop him in half. That's a different body. Straight off, and then we're just going to start cleaning out the inside a little bit. Need to take away the belt area and a little bit away from the back, just so, because there's a little bit of an indentation on the inside, so I just want it to sit nicely with that little metal gorget ring coming over the top there. You can clean off a little bit more, try to do a little bit at a time. I've done these quite a few times, so I kind of know how much to remove. That way you're not really going to have any gaps, which you'll need filling later on. There you go, super glue is your friend. lob a bit on. I'm using Volden Precision Super Glue, which my friend purchased for me. It's really good. You can go for the more gel-like super glue. I kind of like this brand right now. Like, I've never used this before, and it's really good. It comes in a big bottle, and it's liquidy enough that I can use it for basing, and I use a lot of super glue for basing, as you'll see momentarily. Or if you've seen any of the other conversion videos. Super glue can take a bit of time. You can use other products, like I do have some, if there's anything left in it, there's a little bit of the spray. There you go. Spray. Stick. Done. Simple as that. That's already, that's dry. You know, so this is like the Army Painter Magic Super Glue Activator. These are really helpful when using super glues. If you, I usually save those for when I've got a very difficult something to make. Next, let's pick out some arms. So I do have a couple of arms here. So we've got some two-handed ones. This guy's got a sword here, and then he's got like an open hand facing forwards. As I'm going to go for like a shield, I don't really want to use that arm, so I think I'll take this sword arm, because it's got the pauldron, and then we'll probably add another alternate arm. So if we've got a right arm there, so then we'll take this left arm here. There we go. Clean off any mold lines, of course. Anybody, like, any sort of kit bashing is just having confidence, really. Being careful where you need to be careful. I'm not doing any super elaborate kit bashing right here. It's literally just clipping off certain bits I don't want and then clipping on bits I do want. Very simple as. So for the body itself, you know, we could have a more raised up. This is the unit champion, so maybe have him like that, or make him look like he's about to stab somebody. Let's go for a little bit more of a stabby option. So this is from the Fireforge Knight set. So I've got some cool, like, big axes, swords, maces. That was bent. Lovely. I'm going to generally be using the swords. I might use a flail. These smaller shields are perfect. I do have some like cavalry kite shields, but I think they're just going to obscure things a bit too much. So we'll just start trimming. They do actually have an arm on the underside, so this is where you just need to be a bit confident. I'll utilise that in with some of them, and actually use the arms that it's given me, but I wanted to use this arm for this guy. So for the inside of the shield, I'm literally just going to grab and just start cutting. Like, these are perfect clippers for this because they can get into the detail and clip it out with very little effort. Some people use a Dremel as well. Dremel's a great tool. I'm going to demo the Dremel at some point. I tend to not use it unless I absolutely have to with the Dremel. You really don't need it for stuff like this. There we go. And then with a blob, nice bit of super glue on his arm. Try and fit this. I could do it like that. Like that. I kind of like that actually. A lot of the ways these sort of heater shields may have been used, kind of a bit like a punching shield. It does kind of fit a little bit better as well. So with the smaller shield like that, you could do that, or you could go for your standard sort of look. You're going to be able to paint some nice freehand on there. The great thing about the shields is the freehand. And with this sort of stuff, doing freehand on Turnip28 miniatures is absolutely amazing. It's really good fun. Highly recommend everybody giving it a go. Alright, there we go. That's one of the Brutes Kitbash pretty much done there. I might just add some other pieces to it. We'll add some tufts for sure. I kind of want something on the back, but we'll come round to that. Next up, we've got some basing. A lot of these historical models come on these little plastic bits to help you stick them onto a multi-base. We're not going to be using that. Literally just clipping around foot rather than clipping the foot off itself. The reasoning is I've had it sort of snap the foot so many times just doing it directly, and then you just clean up the foot after the fact. Otherwise you're going to lose a little bit of that foot. Get your knife, try and clean it off a little bit so it's going to be a smoother or flatter surface. And basically we're going to start building up this base. So position where you want him, it's on a 32mm because he's a brute. I've got all sorts of little bits of cork, so I'm probably going to have just rip cork away so you get a nice little flat position. And then I like to use super glue with cork and with all basing materials because it soaks into the cork and holds it into place better than anything. Next, I'm just going to do a little dip. I have this lovely little collection of random basing stuff I've accrued over the years. It's got pieces of cork, it's got loads of sand, different layers of gravel, some rock pieces, and essentially, instead of using PVA, I'm literally just going to put super glue. So this is like the runny super glue, right? I'm just going to make sure it's gone round everything. I'm going to put some on the top there as well, some around the sides. Try not to get any on your hands. Standard procedure. Then I'm literally just going to go sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle all the way around. Some of it will stick to the side of the base, but you can easily clean that off with a knife or a mold line remover if you're feeling fancy. See, my finger was stuck to it. Standard. You're going to get some crispy fingers doing this. There we go. Pretty much my standard cheap basing material that looks fairly natural. I might buy some just regular building sand and sort of add this to it, so I've got some more finer bits. You could also do milliput. I did use milliput on some of the other bases, and we'll use some milliput on the other bases, and what that kind of looks like is this. It kind of goes a little bit more natural, and then I end up getting the same basing mix and just sort of sticking it in and pushing it down until it sticks. But we can also use stuff like texture. I might use sterling mud, for example, as a little bit of a texture, just to cover some of these little gaps. No problem. Then all we need to do is literally just position where Mr. Brute is going to sit on his base. Obviously give it a nice little tip tap tap. And the great thing about it, if you do it straight over the pot, this isn't going to go anywhere. Right, there you go. That's literally a brute. Nearly done. Next step. Tuft. Not messing about. Just literally grab a tuft. I'm going to cut it in half. A lot of these tufts are, you can rip them. Right? And then we're going to pick a few points to put the tuft. So I think with this guy, I want to have an armpit tuft. But for the tuftage, literally grab your tuft that you want to use. Smaller's better for this. Dab some of the glue onto the tuft. Add it to where you want. And then use the knife to sort of push your way up. And there we have it. We have a unit of brutes with shield and sword ready to get primed. I'm going to be using a spray prime from my airbrush, which is going to be the polyurethane primer black, which is what I've been doing for this whole army. And we're just going to get cracking. Loads and loads of metallics on these. It's going to be quite a fun little paint. So yeah, I'll come back shortly once they've been primed.